Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Nothing Zilch Nada. We're your hosts, Xavier Dean.
Jacob Green.
And first off, I'd like to say to those of you, well, I guess not to those of you, but because of when we are recording the episode and when the episode releases, how was the Super Bowl? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I'm sure Jake and I had a blast. Pretty sure we watched the teams. They played a fair game, and the winner won fairly. Yeah.
I think the only downside is that the Bears didn't make it to the Super Bowl. They were so close.
Bears. I don't know. I come from a Packer household, so
I don't know. The only football team I've ever supported was the University of Notre Dame,
mm.
Fighting Irish. And that's only because, I just think they're a very great team. But I've been able to go to a couple of their games because one of my brother-in-laws graduated from school over there. So he's an alumni from there, and we're able to go to some of the stuff. And the games have been pretty good. I remember last year's game where they scored like a full yard touchdown
That's
in
good.
like the first quarter.
That's good. Yep. Like I said, pretty sure both teams played fair. Pretty sure the winner deserved to win. Pretty sure the halftime show was just peak. I think it's Bad Bunny this year, so pretty sure he performed spectacularly. And best yet, sure the commercials didn't cause me any sort of anger. Of course, this is all a joke, but again, because we don't know the outcome of the Super Bowl, we don't know.
We
So
don't really pay attention to sports, period.
I pay attention to sports. I just don't pay
I
attention.
I don't, not as much.
I pay attention to disc golf. I, you and I both run races. I'd count that. I mean, I go to baseball games all the time. So,
Okay.
all right. Anyway, we've got that behind us, and then ahead of us, happy Valentine's Day for those of you who are watching on Saturday or beyond. Yep. And in celebration of Valentine's Day, I figured we would do a Tales of Nothing. And I figured our Tales of Nothing should be about the loves of our life. Talking about our pets. You know, Jake and I are both single, so we don't really have girlfriends, but we do, or we have in the past, and we do right now have pets. So I figured today's Tale of Nothing would be talking about our pets, how we got them, make a little description of them. For some of our pets who have passed away, maybe discussing just a little bit of that,
Mm,
mainly like how old they were. And yeah,
mhm.
so with that, Jake, you ready for Tales of Nothing?
I'm ready.
All right. And I want to try to do timeline order by
Mhm.
pet. Jake, when did you are you are you wanting to join in with the stories?
Like join in with my own story
Yeah,
or
join in with your own.
uh yeah, of course. I'm actually trying to pull some stuff out related to it right now, but um I've I know I got my dog in like trying to think. I think it was 2010. Yeah, 2010.
Okay, so you got your dog. I believe it was after both my first cat and first dog. So I think I will start with the cat and then the dog, and then you could talk about your dog. And
Hmm.
then I will go with the two current cats and the current dog. So six pets in total, if no one else is counting.
Mm.
All right, so we're gonna start with the first pet, the pet that my entire family loved and feared, maybe more feared than loved. So growing up, we had a a black cat named Gracie. And early on in our lives, we kept a with our pets, we kept a pattern of naming them after athletes. So Gracie was named after the baseball player Mark Grace. She, and I had to double check this story. She was actually a cat we got from one of our relatives, I believe, or it was my father's cousin. We drove to Jacksonville, Illinois, and picked up the cat. There wasn't really too much story I could tell for this one. Well, pertaining to how we got her, but there is a lot of stories about what she did. So, first off, the feared part. She was mainly feared in my family because she's, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain her. You you could tell that she has her specific people. And if you're not her specific people, you have a chance of either getting scratched or after she was declawed, bit. There have been multiple family gatherings where she has made her blood sacrifice. Yeah. And the reason why we call it a blood sacrifice is because that cat lived to be old, like old, old.
She's the cat version of Brother Blood.
She is the cat version of Brother Blood. She lived, she was, I want to say, 21 years old before she passed away.
Wow.
What was that?
How long is that in cat years? I wanna look this up.
While you look it up, this is why I say it's a blood sacrifice because every
Mhm.
year during our Christmas party, she would take blood, except for that last year, which happened to be not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before. She ended up passing away I want to say last June or last July. But she was, hmm?
I found the thing, the calculation. So uh a 21-year-old cat calculates to 24 plus 19 times 4, which is roughly 100.
Yeah, like I said, she was old. But she was loving, I want to say I want to say about when I was in high school, she started liking me a little more often. It was to a point where you could tell where her hierarchy was. Top of the hierarchy was my mom. You know, my mom's the cat person in the house. If mom wasn't there, the cat would like to go to me. I wasn't there. I want to say it was my sister, and then mom was my father. It wasn't necessarily that she didn't love us all. It was just she had her preferred people. And of course, my brother and the pets have a mutual, I don't mess with you, you don't mess with me. So, no, she was a good cat. I I don't think I have too many big stories pertaining to her. She was a cat who drew blood and lived to be almost 100 in cat years. I will say
That's
there
it's
for the last 4 years of her life, everyone in my family made the joke that she was going to outlive all of us on spite. I'm purposely saying these jokes while you're taking drinks because hopefully there's a spit take, and if we start having an intro where we can
There,
take recordings, I would like that.
there's not going to be a spit take. I'm not spitting anywhere in this place that I live at. So
Yeah, because you're gonna be the one cleaning it up.
yeah, and if there's just so happens to be a stain, because I'm drinking tea, there happens to be a stain, they're going to be like, "What the heck happened?" Um,
And
no, that's
you'll just say that your best friend was a jerk and made you laugh. All right, but anyway, so that was Gracie. Again, she was a wonderful cat. She is missed every day by myself. Sure, the rest of my family misses her as well. Moving on, I think 4 or 5 years later, we adopted our dog. So before we begin, I just want to mention, and we're not sponsored by anyone, so I want you to put that into consideration. But our dog was a rescue. He had started off in an abusive household, and we had taken him well, we adopted him from a kennel, but that kennel saved him from that household. And I just want to point out, if you go and get or go to adopt an animal, as long as you're a nice household, I would highly recommend rescue. They've already had a rough house. I feel like every animal deserves a great house. And with this dog, you can definitely tell that he loved his house and he loved his family. So when he was at his old house, he was named Paxton. And I have to emphasize that because I keep forgetting what it is. But he was originally called Paxton, and when we adopted him, his name changed to Paxson. It was a slight change so that he still could hear us, or he could still hear and recognize what we said. Uh, but it was enough where he understood that we're not the same people who did what happened to him in the last town. So we adopted him when he was 1 year old, or when he was a 1 year old. He was young when we adopted him, and considering he's a rescue, there was would have had to be a lot going on. Now, I wasn't there when we adopted him. I was going to a Peoria Rivermen game with my uncle. It was my brother, my sister, and both of my parents who went. And the main reason we went to get Pax was because we were going to get a dog to help with my brother. So my brother picked out Paxson of all of the dogs. And Pax was a gold or not golden. Pax was a Jack Russell Beagle mix. So he was in like the small medium size. He had a lot of or he had a couple spots. One key spot that I want to bring up is he had a spot on his back that looked like Mickey Mouse. So we always made the joke that he had his Mickey on him. Anyway, we adopted him. My brother realized he didn't want a dog, and so Pax became my dog. And Jake, do you have that pet conversion up?
uh, yeah, I actually did take a look at it. You said your dog was how old was your dog when he passed away?
I didn't say that yet because I want to try to go through memory because I think dog years are 1 year is 7 years. I think that's what it is. But Paxson, when he passed away, it was about a year and a half ago. It was in October. It was the worst month of my life for a number of reasons, but that was a big part of it because he and I were really close. He was 18 years old when he passed away.
Okay. So I have the calculator, an exact calculator pulled up.
Uh,
So the age of the dog, also the big factor is just like how big the dog was. So would you say that your dog was either a medium, large, or giant?
I'd say medium. I'd say medium.
Okay. Okay. So if we calculate that, 87 years old,
87 years old. All right.
approximately.
Hmm. So he also was an old dog. He was he never barked in the house, or at least he
Hmm.
until he got older and he couldn't really let us know as frequently when he needed to go out.
Hmm.
He was a big protector for his family. You know, there was this there was a joke that he would never hurt a human, which is true. He was nice to just about everyone he saw, but he was a stone cold killer with just about any animal that wasn't our cat. Some important feats during a small get together, not like the big high school graduation party we had. The night of graduation, there was a small get together with a couple family members. During that, there was a possum running around outside where we were at. Pax didn't kill the possum, but he chased that possum to a point where the possum faked its death and wouldn't move away from watching that possum until everyone else was in the house. So there was that. There have been times where my dad has had to clean up a couple dead animals from the yard because, the animals were intruding on his property and could have been a threat to his family. Or at least that's what Pax thought. And there was one time, and my dad's the one who says this all the time. He, we have this little lead in the backyard just so that our pets don't run away if, there happens to be a hole in the fence or a gate's not open or a gate happens to be open. So at the time, the dog was wearing a lead. He was barking to let us know that it was time for him to go in. Dad opened the door and witnessed the dog with the lead on jumping up and catching a bird midair. So, so we had the John Wick of dogs, basically. But he was a wonderful dog. He and I would go for daily walks. In fact, in high school, there were when everyone was talking about how I would clock more miles than almost or than anyone in the world. That dog clocked in about half as much because he absolutely loved walks. And like I said, the weekend that he was passing away was rough. I was initially scheduled to work those 2 days, and luckily I worked with a lot of amazing people at the time. They were able to go in and cover for me last minute because of what was going on. So, like I said, that was him, and I still have his collar. I have it above my bed. On rough nights, I will just grab and hold on to it and imagine he's still here. Like I said, he was my dog. And Jake, I'm sorry, but if there was an argument between you and him, there have been times where I've said that he is my best friend. I'm
Perfectly fine.
oh,
Perfectly fine.
yeah. Trying to think if there was any big story that I could think of for PAX. Because there was a lot that he did. He would lay in front of the fire. He was always he always wanted everyone in the same room so he knew where everyone was at. When we got the kittens, which I'll talk about them a little later, like he wasn't mean to them at all. Again, he showed that he was above all else a family dog.
Mm.
And whoever he lived with before, that was they messed up. They messed up big time.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
All right. So I think the next pet on the list would be your Jake.
Yeah. So, to pretense this beforehand, because Xavier, of course, knows about the dog that I used to have. I've had her for a long time. But what Xavier probably doesn't know about was the dog that we had beforehand in my family. So even before I was born, we've had all sorts of pets. I know my family said that they had a dog at one point before I was born and a cat, which, fun fact, that cat was named Tigger. And but Tigger ran away and we don't know what happened to him. But yeah, so I want to say I was around 5 years old at the time. This was before we moved into the place that we're currently at now and where we've been in for most of my life. But we used to live in a different house that was smaller. And for my brother's birthday, which for those that don't know, he's born on the 4th of July. Pretty special day. Every time we do family vacation, we also have to do my brother's birthday on that day. Whenever that happens. We might be doing our vacation probably in the 4th of July. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But for my brother's birthday, my parents decided to give him a dog. Uh, and she was a golden retriever mix. So she wasn't like totally golden retriever. I believe she also had some chow mixed in as well, because she kind of had like the little like pointed floppy ears and brown eyes and just the head shape and everything. Uh, and that was a very great dog. When my mom used to do family scrapbooks manually, she caught a few pictures of me, just me hugging Kea. I mean, not Kea, Sammy. Sammy was the name of the dog, and I she was fun to have around. Uh, and unfortunately, she actually this was after we got the other dog, which I'll talk about that in a bit. But sometime after we moved to our place, and I was around 8 years old, uh, Sammy was like 5 at this point, and she got a tumor in her throat. Um, and the vet gave us two choices. It was either choke to death or we put her to sleep. And we chose the latter option because it was less gruesome that way. because we would rather not have her choked to death. And I was there the day that it happened. I think my brother was too. Um, and we still have her buried in our yard to this day. Uh, and it was getting to the point where like she wasn't that old, but she was kind of getting grumpy. And by the time we got the other dog, she was just a puppy, and like Sammy just wanted to be left alone. She was just becoming a little bit more aggressive, and like
Just like old man Logan.
yeah, yeah. If
Beneath
Logan if Logan was a grandma, um,
I
but no,
would
Sam.
I would kill to watch a movie like that, but instead of it being like an old action hero, it's like an old grandma getting all grumpy and then just
I kill for that.
all right. All right, so here's the plan. You're gonna corner the possum. I'm gonna catch the bird from the midair.
Yeah. Now I will say this for the case of both of my dogs, both of them were not aggressive whatsoever when it comes to humans. And I don't think Sammy was one to kill animals, but that's a drastic comparison to the dog that I would actually get, which is going to be the bulk of this story. Uh, so the other dog's name was Kea. I'll talk about that, why we gave her that name in a little bit, but it's actually pretty similar to Xavier's dog in how we got her. So we got her in a kennel in Ottawa, and she was a rescue. And she was found in a litter with her other brothers and sisters. And we think that her birthday was somewhere around November, at least Thanksgiving. And that's where we decided that like that her birthday was on Thanksgiving. But that was just like an approximate date. But she was born in like November of 2009. So a few months before we got her. So I've always wanted to have a dog on my birthday. And believe it or not, we actually adopted her on my birthday. I remember, yeah, it was 2010 on my birthday. And was it 2010? It might even be 2009 if I'm being honest. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I remember 2010 was the year of my older sister's wedding. So I think it might be 2009 because it was. Now I'm just second guessing myself. I was either eight. It was either for my eighth or ninth birthday. I'll have to check on that to make sure. But regardless, I got her on my birthday, and I actually went over to Facebook because I wanted to show some pictures of her as soon as Xavier told me like what that topic was going to be.
Oh, I
So
didn't set up pictures.
yeah. So when she passed away, I posted some of her pictures on my Facebook page and Instagram. So I have them saved. These pictures actually came from a scrapbook that I made of her in 2016. But this was her as a puppy. She was a little bear cub. And she was mostly black at first. She eventually became more brown.
Hmm.
And we thought she was just a German Shepherd at first. But as you could tell, she was mostly Chow compared to German Shepherd because, like, she's got a more furry coat that sheds a lot. She's got the more rounded head and the floppy ears. German Shepherds usually have pointed ears, but she's a German Shepherd Chow mix. Now, for the name Kea, this is interesting. So, for those that don't know, I was homeschooled for a majority of my life until I graduated high school. And one of the things my mom and I would do was we would read a lot together. She would read to me because I couldn't read quite by myself yet. I wasn't fully developed yet to read, but we were reading American Girl doll books, specifically ones pertaining to one of the American Girl dolls, because my older sisters used to have those. But there was a story regarding an Indian girl American doll named Kaya. Now, I think it wasn't until years later I realized that it's actually probably most likely pronounced Kaya and not Kaya. But it's too late because we called her Kaya for the rest of her life. And she's a girl, and we were trying to figure out names for her. And on that day, when we got her, we decided that it was Kaya was the name of the dog. And I remember riding back home with her and just carrying her in a small box. That was fun. And yeah, she was that small where I was able to carry her. In fact, she did a lot of small things as a puppy, which is part of the story that I will talk about. So since we got her in January, we would take her outside, and she loves the snow. She loves the snow. And I still have pictures of her as a puppy and her chewing on pieces of ice and just running around in the snow. She was always a winter dog. She was always a winter dog. She sees the snow. She loves the snow. She loves being outside, period. Except for a few instances, which I will mention in a bit. And of course, because she was a newer dog, she was still a puppy, and because she needed to be trained, there were points where she had accidents on the floor, and this was before we had hardwood floors. They're not actually hardwood, but they're like hard floors. This was back when the floors were just carpet. So whenever she go to the bathroom inside the house, yeah, it was a rough mess to clean up. But we used to have this big buffet that she would love to sleep under. And actually, before that, she would actually hide under our couch. She was small enough to like sleep and crawl under our couch. And we didn't know where she would be at. And we were like, hey, and she would just poke her head out. She'd just poke her head out. And that was cute. But a funny story regarding that was, as you might know, dogs go from this to this. So this was her. Approximately around that time. Actually, this is the same couch. You could even see carpeted floors. My family does not miss those. But my dog one day, she went under the couch as usual, and she got stuck because she was too big. And so my brother and my mom had to lift up the couch so that way she could get out. And since then, she would sleep under the buffet instead. A buffet that we don't have anymore. But when we had that, she would used to sleep under there. But just to mention some other moments too, just points of when she was kind of a stinker. There would be points where we either forget to leash her up or she somehow like escapes from the house and she rubs in the stuff that she shouldn't. It would take a few hours before we had to find her. She didn't usually go that far, but she was the adventurous type. It was even worse because this was around the same time my dad owned the farm, which Xavier has been to.
Yep.
But it's wide open property. My dad does deer hunting over there. We had rabbits at one point. He does all sorts of projects over there. But we would take my dog over there. Uh, there would be points where she would go off to do her own thing. And I don't know if you know anything about deer, but they got stuff everywhere. And my dog liked to rub her back on that stuff.
Hmm. Fun.
And yeah, she stank. She stank. She wasn't allowed in the house for a week. Whenever that happens, which happened more than once. Um, but yeah, she was a very interesting dog. And Xavier
Mhm.
was mentioning about how she was an animal killer, how his dog was an animal killer. My dog was too. I want to pretense this by saying that my dog was a very loving dog. We tried to have her as a guard dog, and yeah, she would bark at people, but like she would never bite anyone. Um,
That you
yeah,
know.
yeah. But when it comes to small animals, though, or anything that's like this big too, she so we have a lot of stray cats in our neighborhood, and she's killed quite a few cats. She's caught a bird. Uh, I think a couple rabbits. Um, but yeah, and whenever she did that, she would sometimes bring it to the front of the house and be like, "Did I do a good job?" But the most memorable moment I remember of her like killing an animal was we were at my dad's farm. We were having lunch. This was like 2013.
Mhm.
And my older niece, she's going to be 14 this year. She was 1 at the time. And we had our dog out, and I was trying to keep an eye on her. And she was a little bit farther out, but not too far where I wasn't able to see her. Like I was able to see her just fine. But all of a sudden, like I saw her like going crazy, just going, and I couldn't see what was going on. I was just like, I guess Kaya is just being like energetic and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, I see red streaks coming out, and I'm like, "What in the world?" And I come out, and I find that she killed a freaking groundhog.
So that's why we couldn't see a shadow. Man.
No, but that was one of the most insane moments of her killing an animal, um, and probably offering it as a peace offering, I guess. Um, yeah, no, but she was a very great dog. I say the other stinker moment that she had, although this is debatable of whether like she knows better or not, but she was she was both an inside and an outside dog. We tried to have her be an outside dog, but there is one particular instance in which she did not want to be outside. And that was when there was ever a windstorm or a thunderstorm. She hates loud noises. And our door is made of metal. And whenever she would like, whenever the storm would happen, she would just go crazy. It could even be stuff like fireworks. And she'd go like, and like, we told her no several times, and sometimes I think it just got to the point where we just ended up having her be inside. And my mom tried to paint the door a couple times, and yeah, Kaya would just keep scratching at our door, and my mom was just like, "I'm not repainting that door until that dog dies."
Mm.
And we end up getting a new door anyways. So, but the other thing that she would do was like, again, she would go nuts. Like she would we've had to replace the doorknob, I think, 2 or 3 times because one of the things that she'll do is that she'll freaking chew on the doorknob and just be and you can see like all the bite marks on the door. It messes up with the doorknob too. Like she was nuts. We've tried putting her in her crate outside once and she broke the door.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
It was bad for her paws too.
Oh man.
Yeah, but it wasn't all doom and gloom. Not most of the time, anyways. Most of the time, she was a pretty energetic dog. She loved to run around. She loved to be outside. And uh, I have oh, this is actually pretty good. So, one of the things that she would do, we would give her like people food sometimes. We've given her dog food and milk bones and whatnot, but like for example, whenever we have something meat related with a lot of fat on it, like steak, we would give her the fat bits, and that was a good thing for her, and she loved those. Sometimes she was our garbage disposal. Whenever stuff was on the ground, she would clean it up. Um, but the one people food that she liked, though, was popcorn. And I will tell you why. Whenever my mom would make popcorn, and we would always make a whole bunch, so we always have leftovers. Whenever she was inside, and whenever we would grab a snack of like popcorn for ourselves, she would walk over and just be
May I have some?
like she knows what she wants.
Hmm.
So yeah, we give her some. We give her some, and that was fun. Um, but yeah, and this is she was very caring towards kids. Like my niece at the time, this is still the case, I think. Both of my younger nieces really loved animals. They loved animals. And my dog was just like, very protective of the kids, just as long as she wasn't getting annoyed. In fact, so we had to remove a part of her body that would allow her to have kids, so she wasn't able to produce kids. But I think she always wanted to be a mom. And that was when my my brother came over for Christmas once. I can't remember if this was, it might have been when he was still in Hawaii at the time. But my brother recently adopted a dog that was 5 years old, probably 6 at the time. And it was a Chihuahua mixed breed. Her name was Score, and Score recently passed away a few months ago. My brother's had her for a long time. And there was an instance where this is the only time I was able to interact with Score was when my brother was over for Christmas. And my both Kaya and Score were in like the same room with each other. And because of how small Score was, Kaya treated her like it was like her baby. And Score would always be annoyed by it. It was so funny. Like every small dog that my dog would that Kaya would come across, it was like her baby,
Oh.
and that was fun. Again, she she was a funny dog. She was a funny dog. There would be those moments where like she would just go crazy for a little bit. We would play tug of war and wrestling with each other, and then she would be like, "Okay, I'm done."
Mm.
And she lived to be 15 years old. And it was a pretty sad day to find out because It happened during my last semester of college, which I was about 3 hours away from home. The last time I saw her was when I visited my family in Easter, and I think it was either mid to late April. She ended up passing away, and it was due to we don't know exactly what happened, if it was something that she ate because she was kind of like convulsing, but yeah, she passed away, and it was sad for sure, especially since I didn't get to see her. In fact, these were like the last pictures I took of her before I had to leave for home during Easter. But yeah, she was a good dog. And what hit me hard the most was like, whenever I would come home, I would always see like Kay on the porch, and she would come and run towards me and go like, ah, like she was all excited and jumpy. But when I came home after I graduated from college, I said to my mom, it's just like, it's good to be home, but Kaya wasn't there to run up to me.
Right.
And we still talk about that, there are things that we don't miss, but at the same time we miss a lot of stuff about the dog. So
Yeah.
yeah, story of Kaya. It was a we've had her for like close to 15 years. It was awesome.
Yep. All right. So those were our pets of Christmas past. Now, Jake, I'm not sure if you have any pets right now.
I know.
You don't. Okay. So I've got three. So we're gonna finish with those three who are currently living, and you might hear the last one's claws tapping on the floor because I record in the basement, so she's upstairs.
Hmm.
Now we're gonna talk about a 2-for-1 deal.
Ooh.
Are the kittens, and I call them the kittens because compared to Gracie and Pat's when we got them, they were still kittens. So to preface this, my dad and I disc golf. Disc golf a lot. In fact, I've got an upcoming tournament. I'm setting things up to run in a couple months. Excited for that one. So, for this story, it was the weekend before I move in with my great aunt and uncle to go to school for
Hmm.
Illinois State, because that was where I went to college after attending a community college. So, my dad and I figure let's do one more round of disc golf before you go.
Hmm.
Because the idea was I go there, I'm now going to have more free time, I'm going to disc golf more often and get better. Which happened, but regardless. He's like, this will be the last time you and I can go, and I can still beat you. So we go to our local course and we play, and we reach hole 13 of our course. And the way this course or this whole setup is we've got trees. There's like a little tunnel where you could throw the like not an actual tunnel, but like a tunnel of trees where you should throw. And if you throw a little too far to the right, there's an entire forest across a road. And there's just a lot of things in that forest that there's a chance you're not gonna find your disc. So my dad throws one of his discs and it goes too far to the right, it goes in the woods. So he and I are going to look for it. And before I continue, I want to bring up a Facebook post that I saw roughly around that time pertaining to rescue animals. It was a joke post, but it was when it comes to rescuing a dog, You go to a shelter, you fill out the paperwork, you choose the correct dog, make sure the dog loves you, get everything necessary for that dog, go through vaccination stuff, all that. Go through all that just to get a dog. To rescue a cat, you find a dumpster and you find the kitty. That's the joke. What happened with the twins is while we were looking at the park, I hear a little hiss. And because I'm not a big snake guy, I'm like, oh, that is a snake. I gotta go. I turn my head, and instead I see the face of a kitten. See the little face of a kitten. I'm like, Dad, there's a kitten here. Which, by the way, there was not a kitten there. There were two kittens there. There were two kittens. It just so happened that my mom and my brother. No, wait, nope, not my brother. But my mom was there as well. She was just in the car because she, and after 9 holes, she drove the car where the kittens were, and both of the kittens started clinging on to her. So that's how we get the kittens. Find them, and they cling. Um, Initially we were thinking, okay, we're just gonna keep them for a while, try and find someone else who would want them. And I come back the next weekend because, I that's what I did. I would come back on the weekends and the cats were still there, and it's like, yeah, we're keeping them. Your mom won't let them go, and neither will your sister. So they are so we have a black cat with a white tuft of hair on his chest named Rock, and a gray cat with a white with a right that white puff of hair on his chest named River. And you may be thinking, oh, nature theme. Nice. Goes against the sports theme you had. No. See, our rock is spelled ROC, and River's spelled river. But the reason we named them is because we found them on a disc golf course. And in disc golf, the two main discs that my father threw were a rock, ROC, and a river. So they're named after discs. Still got the sports theme going on.
Those are your future discs right there.
No, I can't. I have a rock somewhere. Somewhere.
No, I mean like use the cats as the discs.
No, no, no. I'll explain why. I'm not gonna specify when I explain, but you'll find out why. But well, other than the fact that it's cruel, animal cruelty, Jake. Like I said, we've got Rock and River, and they're brothers. You can tell they're brothers, but personality-wise, they are separate. Like they both love them. They both love our mom. I'm not in that hierarchy where I was with the old or with Gracie. I'm actually a lot lower on the list because for the first 2 years that they were living with us, I was only there every weekend because I worked most of those weekends. I wasn't even there half the time when I was there. But regardless, Rock. I'm gonna start with him. Big cat. Like, start like, about this big, a little baby. We're thinking, oh, he's not gonna grow that big. And now he's pretty much here if you're holding him.
Damn boy.
Well, this is when he's curled up. Now, he's the one who will let you pick him up. He might not like it. He may want you to stop holding him after a while, but he will at least let you pick him up. He's also a big foodie. There have been times where he has taken food directly from people's plates. There have been times where he has taken chips from bags. And I remember there have been times, specifically with my mom and my sister, where he has taken food directly out of their mouths.
Uh,
Hmm. But he is a cuddle bug. He is, he will cuddle up with you. Think think a non-sarcastic Garfield. That's Rock. Love food, loves naps, doesn't really want to be as active.
does it love lasagna?
I don't know. I don't think we've actually had
It's
lasagna.
Garfield's thing. That's Garfield's
It's
thing.
Garfield's thing. We need to make lasagna now. And then we get his brother, River. I know I said Rock's a cuddle bug.
Mm.
Chill. River's a psycho. That's his nickname. His nickname is Psycho and Demogorgon because when he's given baths, kind of looks like a Demogorgon. He is very picky on who gets to interact with him at what times. The only person who's allowed to hold him for an extended amount of time is his mother, with my sister being able to pick him up and hold him for a little bit of time. I don't dare pick him up because he still has back claws and they're sharp. I don't want to die, but he's he also went bigger, but he's leaner, very fast. He is very vocal with you if he's hungry. Like both cats are, but he himself is very vocal. If you're new, he doesn't like you. It's like a big thing. Um, yeah. He also steals my spot. I have this, so whenever I have work I bring home or I want to work on my computer, on any personal things, I have a specific spot at our dining room table that I will sit. If I get up from that spot to let our dog out, or if I were to move somewhere else, I will come back and he's sitting in my spot. Yep. No, but he's a nice cat. He loves boxes. Like there will be times where we'll get a new box and he'll instantly hop in. It's like, no, this box is mine.
Your cat is stingy. It's mine.
Yeah, but like I said, he's between the two, he's also the protective brother.
Mm.
I think one of our first Christmas parties we've had at the house while the kittens were around, he was the one that was out and about, but only because he was wanting to make sure his brother was safe because there's a bunch of new people in the house. And I think one of the biggest stories I can tell for him, he doesn't like when family members uh go on vacation or take long trips. I've
You said your cat is a psychopath, but it sounds like your cat's more of a sociopath.
Yeah, it does. I'm not the one who came up with the psychopath nickname. That was my sister. But
Mhm.
regardless, whenever members of our family would go on vacation, we always make sure there's at least one person still at the house. And the reason we do that is that when family comes back, we can try to take them back. his crate, and keep him there so that he can slowly acclimate back to the people who come back. Because if we don't do that, then he runs around, hides everywhere, and just creates a full-blown panic. There have been times where we have found him under couches, he's been under beds. He will resort to hiding in my room, which doesn't sound overly bad, but the general rule is pets don't come down here because there's too many places to hide. So, but that's the kittens. Yeah, they're wonderful cats. They are alive. And I think right now they are 5 years old. No, younger. Maybe four. Maybe 4 years old. Because I was at ISU for 3 to 4 years old. Something around there. And now for the last pet. And to preface this, I'll go back to Pax. So Pax passed away in the middle of October in 2024. Within a week of him passing, which again, a lot of things happened. Within that week, my parents find another pet, another dog at a at a shelter. It was just my dad wanted to look, found a dog. There was a little showcase where the dog could meet other people, and my family basically hogged her so that no one else could get her. Yeah. And we ended up adopting her. She came home on Halloween. So it was about a week, maybe 2 weeks after Pax passed away when we ended up adopting the dog. So I was still a little heartbroken about this. But this dog is a sweetie. Her original name was Avalanche because her litter, the shelter we got her from, the her litter was named after natural disasters. So you had avalanche, tornado, I want to say thunder.
That's a lit group of names right there.
Yeah, it sounds like a C-list superhero team. But we adopted her. Her name's no longer Avalanche. We changed her name, and there was a little debate on what we should call her. I wanted her name to be Lola because when we got her, like you could tell she's a puppy, and she's all black. She, but she had a bunch of white hair. Same hair looked like an old lady. So I was like,
I, I
"Oh,
was thinking you
Lola."
were,
What?
I was thinking you named her Lola because of Lola Bunny.
No, no, I'm not you. No. But I was wanting to go with Lola for little old lady Avalanche or Lola. Yeah, her name's not Lola. No, her name is Willow. And she's the only pet that we have had who doesn't follow that sports theme. Instead, we named her after grandmother Willow from Pocahontas.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it still holds a old lady feel. And when we first got her, she was small. Again, she was maybe a couple months old. She was able to sit on like she was small enough where she could sit on my lap. She can no longer sit on my lap without hurting me. She's, she's big. She's a big dog.
Yeah, I'm aware. She big dog.
She is a big dog. Yep. And she loves people. Absolutely loves people. But when we got, again, I was a little sore because we just had a dog pass away. I was wanting to wait a little longer before, or I was hoping we'd wait a little longer. I love this dog. She's playful. Where Pax would just rather make sure his family's safe and go for walks. This dog would rather go outside to the backyard and run around with a soccer ball. Like she has these thick soccer balls outside that she's able to carry in her jaws. She has a bunch of toys she likes to, play fetch with in the house. She's, she hates it when you stop petting her. I think that's just pets in general. So there'll be times where I will walk into the living room to say something, and I'll start petting her, and I'll try to walk away. But as I leave, or as my hand leaves her, she'll just immediately reach with her paw to pull my hand back. But I'm trying to think.
You
Uh,
know, you know
no,
those video. Oh, sorry.
no, you first.
You know those videos of like when you stop petting your dog and they have like those different reactions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely that dog. It's just like petting the dog. It's like I didn't tell you to stop petting me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That is her. She does love watching Gilmore Girls.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, when we got her, I had a little stint where I was at home more often, and I wanted to watch Gilmore Girls, so I started watching, and she would sit with me to watch.
That's cool.
Hmm.
We never allowed our dog, Kaya, downstairs, except for a few brief instances, but we've never had her downstairs where the TV was at. It was exclusively upstairs,
Mm,
but not in the front room.
all right. Our pets watch TV with us.
Hmm.
Like I said, she loves Gilmore Girls, and my cat River loves cats.
Hmm.
But no, like I said, Willow's a great dog. She's excited, energetic, loves meeting people. She'll go for walks, but with her, it's she doesn't want to go too far from her house. It's trying to think of what other things I should say. I can't really. Oh, she's also a seat stealer. And she's part of the reason why I don't go and watch stuff in the living room as much. Because I'll go in and she'll be sitting right where I sit. Like, dude, get out of my spot. It's like, no, it's my spot. So,
It's,
you know, but
yeah, I really would like to get another dog one of these days because, well, I'm more of a dog person than a cat person. I like cats fine. My dad does not like cats though.
mhm.
He does not like cats. Um, and the only person in our family, because my older sisters, they don't have any dogs. My brother, I mentioned that his dog recently passed away, but his fiance has a dog named Winston.
Nice.
And I forget what breed Winston is. He's definitely a bit of a larger dog,
Hmm.
not like round, but just kind of long,
Hmm.
a long dog, and very blonde curly hair. Uh, and I've not interacted with Winston yet, but given that I'll be going to Tennessee sooner or later this year, I will probably get to see Winston. But yeah, I love dogs. Whenever I get the opportunity to pet a dog, I pet that dog?
Yep. Yeah. Uh, yeah, but those are our pets. I figured this would be this would be a good episode to talk about with Valentine's Day coming up, and now I just feel sad because now I'm remembering some of the past memories I've had with my pets.
Well, you know something? I may not have a dog, but I got the best partner right here.
Ah, thank you, Jake.
I got a
Thank
few
you.
gigs. I
Oh,
got a
you're talking
few.
about your sacks.
Yeah, yeah. Had this particular horn for close to 8 years at this point. So, yeah, the instrument is man's best friend right here.
Oh, you want to what? No. Well, I don't need you. I've got my discs. Look,
Oh,
how the camera actually focused on them. That was awesome.
man, I wish my camera did that.
I can't get my
Screw,
camera
screw
set.
you, screw you, computer camera.
Uh,
Um,
next time we have a live recording where it's both of us in the same room, I can try to see if I can get because I accidentally pressed something and now I can't unpress it. So I gotta find out. Well, there goes my sadness. That was pretty funny.
yeah. Um, yeah, but like, for those of you that still have pets, just make sure to spend time with them.
Hmm.
Actually, one thing I did not mention about my dog is that in the early days of when we had her, we used to take her out for walks and then we had to stop because, like, whenever we put her on a leash, like, she would end up just like choking herself a little bit. She was
Hmm.
like, she was a running dog. She was a running dog. That's why we would have her out at the farm
I
until we
know that
stopped doing that.
I know Willow would do the same thing, and we had a specific leash. I'm trying to remember where it went, but it was specifically to prevent choking from happening. So,
Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, give dogs the time of your day, take them out for walks,
yep,
feed them, water them.
yep. Same with cats, except for
Hmm.
taking cats for walks. Unless your cat loves that.
Um,
I don't
mhm.
discriminate against cats.
I would like to get a dog because I haven't gotten the opportunity where I would raise a dog on my own. But my parents would always say, if you can't take care of a dog, you can't take care of a kid.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a reason why college students in particular are more likely to own pet cats in particular than dogs because cats aren't that high of need.
Yeah, they're more
Mo-
independent.
They're more independent. You're able to leave them in the house for the most part.
Hmm.
Um, but dogs they're a little bit more high maintenance. I say the most high maintenance mammal that you could own possibly would have to be a horse.
No,
Horses are career. They
no,
are career.
nope. That's not the most high maintenance mammal that you can have in your house. You know the most high maintenance mammal you can have in your house?
If you're gonna say something about anything human related, I
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be smacked by this mammal if they find out. But it's a sister. It's a sister.
uh,
Uh, Nope.
all right.
But with that, I feel like we should end this video.
Mhm.
So, hope you all had a wonderful time. Please, if you have another topic you would like for us to discuss with any of our six topics, which include, and I'm going to bring the list up because I still don't have the list fully memorized. In
Mhm.
real life, which is a real life thing that Jake and I will do while we record. What a ranking, Tales of Nothing, Master Debaters. Welcome to my Nada Talk or What in the World, where if you have a story you want us to react to, feel free. Or if there's something that happened in the world that you want us to react to that isn't religious or political or anything controversial, feel free to send it to us.
Yeah. Yeah. And if, it doesn't necessarily have to be strictly on those topics, if it, just think about what you want us to talk about and we'll see. We're in dire need of viewer conversations because like sometimes it's a struggle for us to even come up with the most basic of topics because there's so much that we're thinking about
Yeah.
outside inside of this podcast.
Yeah, maybe you
So
want us to have a in real life where we try all different types of mac and cheese. Yeah. I mean, or you want us to try to bake something where one of us is blindfolded and the other one doesn't have or isn't able to hear.
oh geez. Oh man. I can already see the disaster of that happening.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
baking is way more precise than normal cooking.
Yep. But with that, that is all for this episode. I'm Xavier Dean,
And I'm Jacob Green.
and we are here wishing you all a wonderful night, wonderful Valentine's Day, and please spend some time with your pets. They love you. And if you happen to be one of those pet owners who isn't really a good owner for your pet, just know that your pet deserves better. And John Wick will come and get you. Not just the John Wick of dogs, John Wick himself. Maybe not that last part, but still, all pets deserve a loving home. And we wish you all a wonderful night.